Good evening. How is everybody doing? I have been thinking about, and I've studied a little bit. I'm not going to say I've studied deeply, but I have found that the Bible is one of the most amazing books about our mental health that there is out there. And I know people say there's the DSM-5 and all these other wonderful books on mental health, and I'm not taking anything away from those. But a lot of times people don't realize, whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in the God of the Bible, doesn't matter. The wisdom of the Bible itself, it has such a heartbeat on the mindset of man. And it's so incredible. And it's like, wow, this book that was written long before we knew about any of these mental health diagnoses, long before we knew about depression, anxiety, all these other things, the Bible was talking about these things, talking about family conflict, talking about sibling rivalry, talking about deep-seated pain and things long before these things were addressed in our modern culture. And I would really love to go through and do character studies of the men and women in the Bible and looking at their mental health issues, and whether you believe in God or not, how their relationship with God or their lack of relationship with God affected the way that they related to other people. And I think that it will be a very interesting study to see how this book that was written well over 2,000 years ago now still has a heartbeat on the heart of man, and that how we can learn from it and how we can learn to relate to each other through looking at these character studies. We're going to look at vignettes of people all the way back to Genesis and move forward through the timeline of biblical history and look at ourselves today and look at how the world, how a one-on-one relationship with God makes a difference, and also how the world itself and how they relate to a God that they say they don't believe in, but yet culturally there's more references to God, be they negative or otherwise, and Jesus than any other figure in human history. And so, and I want to also look at, why does this world have such a vehement, almost hatred for God? But yet, when we go back, when we go all the way back and look at things, and through a biblical lens, and like I said, I'm going to do this in a way that it will, if you're a Christian, great, but even if you're not, I believe that this study can help you learn things about yourself that you may say, wow. It's like, the amazing thing about the Bible is that you not only read it, but it can read you. You can find stories and things in there that you can say, wow, that's like my family. And mankind hasn't changed that much through all of these years. And so I like I said, I just want to take a look at how the Bible deals with our mental health, deals with, our relating to mainly to each other, but also to God, and how that relationship affects how we do relate with others. Does it affect it or does it not? That's some, that we can look at, because some people say, well, I don't believe in God. That doesn't, that has no effect on my relationships. But does your lack of belief in God affect how you relate to other people? And how can we deal with past hurts? Because whether we want to believe it or not, we're all related. There's genetic proof that shows that we can all be traced back to the same peoples of origin. And whether we believe that that's in Africa or in the Middle East somewhere, but we all trace back to that. And we all are related to each other. So we need to learn how to relate to each other, to our brothers and sisters in or out of Christ. Our fellow man, as Christians, we believe that you're created in the image of God. Whether you rail against him, hate him, it doesn't matter. And how can we relate to someone that we think that we have zero in common, but actually we have more in common than we have difference? And this is going to be a study that I am going to be learning as I'm studying. And, not only things in the church, we're not even going to go there, but we're just going to look at the origins of depression, the origins of sibling rivalry, the origins of anxiety. Where did these things begin? Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't believe in the Bible. That's fine. But it's a good, timeline to look back at history and to see, how things started and say, wow, I never understood that. Why is there this conflict between these people? Why is there so much sibling rivalry? Why is there so much this or that? And as we have moved throughout human history and gotten, dare I say, in some ways further and further away from God, our problems have gotten deeper and deeper. And and now we're at a point where sometimes something will trigger us and we don't know why. We don't know things that have happened in our past. And hopefully this will help us to be able to look back in our own history, in our own life, and say, wow, I never knew that affected me in this way. Looking at emotional hurt, looking at trauma, looking at things through a biblical lens, looking at the Bible in a way that I've never seen it looked at before. But looking at it historically and in context of things at that time, because culture was a lot different then than it is now. But the heart of man really hasn't changed. So I hope that you'll join me on this journey. I really look forward to getting some people engaging in this in these sessions, asking questions, posing questions, and I look to be challenged. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not going to be able to answer everything, but we will look at things together and we'll learn things together. And the things that I can't answer, I will. And I hope that you will join me, and I hope that you can have an open mind and an open heart to be able to look at this in a way that will say, you can say, wow, I didn't even know. I mean, I'm not really a religious person. I don't go to church. But I didn't know the Bible had all this in there. There's some things in the Bible that people, if they knew it was in there, they'd be like, whoa, that's in the Bible? Yeah, that's the amazing thing about the Bible, is that God doesn't try to sugarcoat the flaws of man. He doesn't try to, say, oh, well, these people were perfect. No, most of them were very flawed. But yet, even with their flaws, they were able to be used. And some of them got past their flaws, and some of them didn't. And we'll learn, how can we deal with our own flaws? How can we deal with those hurts of the past? How can we deal with our own character, the good, bad, and ugly parts of it, and make life better for ourselves and the people around us? And also honor God if you believe in Him. And, show this world that, hey, this book might be an ancient book. People may argue about this or that or the other thing, but one thing you cannot argue about is that it has a heartbeat on the heart of man, like very few books that have ever been written. So I hope that you'll join me. I thank you so much for taking a few minutes to kind of hear this little introduction, and we'll be starting in the weeks to come here with Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Those will be our first two sets of relational people that we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at one, how they had good and bad, and they were able to get through it. And then the other two, well, you'll see. But anyways, thank you so much. I love you guys, and see you soon. Bye.